So Samsung released a revision on their guidance this week, similar to what Apple did last week, and the results really from both of these revisions is pretty similar. Revenues and profits for the last quarter is going to come in much less than expected. But you must be wondering, why is this good news for Apple stock if Samsung also released these numbers? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to explain to you guys in this video today. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe down below, hit that bell notification as well, and drop a huge like, smash that like button. Let's get 150 likes on this video. So getting right into it here, Samsung is actually a stock that's been struggling over the last year or so, and it's down over 30% from its peak in 2017. And things don't really seem to be turning the corner anytime soon. In fact, it seems to be going pretty bad still for Samsung. And what we'll do is start off by taking a look at this report that they released last night, going over their revision for the last quarter. So Samsung said that their Q4 earnings will likely have a large decrease because of lackluster demand in the memory chip business and growing competition in the smartphone segment. So keep this in mind, we'll get back to that in a second, but they also predicted that operating profit for Q4 will be around 10.8 trillion Korean won, which is around 9.67 billion US dollars, which is around 28.71% down year over year and 18.18% less than the 13.2 trillion won analysts had expected. So just like Apple, this is a significant lowering in guidance that Samsung came out with, and it's something that they don't really do that often, so it is surprising for a lot of investors and analysts out there. Their revenue here is also expected to take a pretty large hit, coming in at around 59 trillion won, lower than the 62.8 trillion won analysts had expected. So that's around a 10.57% decline year over year. So like I mentioned, Samsung did state here that the two reasons that they're having this issue or that they're struggling with their earnings is because of slow demand in the memory chip market, which is one of Samsung's bread and butters. They supply memory to a lot of companies, but it's also because of slowing smartphone demand. Now, although Samsung did not state that China was the cause for the slowing smartphone demand specifically, they did state that macroeconomic events were a major driver for this revised guidance. But here's a scarier stat in my opinion, and that was that they saw smartphone shipments in Q4 decline 13% year over year. Okay, so by now it's pretty clear Samsung is going to have a pretty bad quarter, but why is this good news for Apple shareholders or anyone that's interested in purchasing Apple stock? Well, if you look at Apple as a company, you'll notice that recently over the last couple of months, analysts, investors, everyone on Wall Street has turned pretty bearish on this company, and a lot of the reasons, usually the number one reason cited for this bearishness, is because of iPhone prices and low iPhone sales and people shifting over their choices to other operating systems or other manufacturers. But based on the information we just got from Samsung here, we can see that they're also struggling. So it's pretty safe to say here that the reason that Apple came out and said that they will have lower than expected sales is not because people are choosing to go with a Samsung device or a competitor over an Apple device, but it's because the smartphone segment as a whole is suffering right now. But when you really think about this, this makes perfect sense. Most people who own a smartphone, whether that's a Galaxy, Samsung phone, or an iPhone, don't upgrade their phone every single year. So naturally, when smartphones are marginally improving the specs or features year over year, it doesn't really make sense for most people out there to go out and purchase a brand new smartphone. For example, I'm still rocking a Pixel, the original Pixel XL, and right now we're on the Pixel 3, so I'm a couple generations behind, but I don't really see any reason to upgrade to the newest generation. So I can kind of see why sales have been plateauing in the smartphone business world, and that's because a lot of people are in the same boat I am. They have a smartphone that's pretty good, works well for them, no issues really, so they don't really see an upgrade to spend another $500, $600, $1,000 plus on a new phone. But now I think this will continue to happen throughout 2019, going even into 2020, and that's because we're still going to be waiting for something brand new to come out in smartphones that really entice the consumer to upgrade from their current phones to these new generation phones. Now, I personally believe this catalyst will be 5G, and when that is released, a lot of people will migrate from their current older phones to these new 5G phones. But honestly, I don't really see this happening until mid to late 2020. So I think for pretty much the majority of 2019 and maybe in a bit of 2020, we could see Apple stock, Samsung stock, other companies in this space, all their stock prices continue to decline, as well as Samsung and Apple posting more revenue declines year over year when it comes to their smartphone segment of their business. But this, I would say, is good news for Apple shareholders because it really throws out that argument out there where all the bears are saying that Apple is a dying company because their iPhones are too expensive. Well, clearly the competition is also suffering, and although there is a segment of people that won't choose iPhone upgrades because of the price point, it looks like most of the population out there is just not choosing any smartphone upgrades because they don't see a reason to upgrade from their current phone to the new phones out there. So if you're in the boat where you were holding off on buying Apple stock because you thought that the competition was taking up most of this pie, most people thought Samsung was actually taking a lot of the market share from Apple, especially in this last quarter, it is now clear that Samsung is also struggling. So at least that thesis or that argument really can be dismissed somewhat because both manufacturers are struggling. So we can kind of make the assumption here that the smartphone market in general is struggling, not just a particular company. And this makes me so much more bullish on Apple because yes, although their phones are expensive, that isn't really the sole reason here that people aren't upgrading to the newer generation phones. So when we do get the next super cycle of smartphones, most likely when 5G is released, like I said, in sometime 2020 most likely, I think that both Samsung and Apple will continue dominating and start posting very strong numbers in those quarters. But as it stands for 2019, it looks like it's going to be a continued buying opportunity for both of these stocks. So let me know down below in the comment section if you're going to be buying either Samsung stock or Apple stock. Either way guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to smash that like button down below. Remember, we're trying to get 150 likes on this video. But either way guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to invest positive and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.